I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, and so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. That's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters. This is the show where we talk about science fiction, comic books, and video games, but really it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends and to meet interesting people. I'm Anthony Dinar, media scholar and person with a huge zit on my face. I'll say it. We'll go ahead and elephant in the room. This is officially what this is called. It's a mask zit. That's what it is. It's because I'm wearing my mask 24/7 nowadays, teaching all the time. Right, I have to wear it when I teach, obviously, but I have to wear it when I'm out to the grocery store and everything. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you wear the mask all the time, is that you just get zits on your face because of the mask zit. So I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way right now, since I am on camera for our YouTube version of this show.
I would have went with I'm secretly 17. That's what I would have went
with. Now it's all you're going to be looking at now.
Well, so, you're still the number one handsome professor in my book, man.
Thank you. That's all I need to know, right? If the Rate My Professor, if the chili pepper was still there and Rate My Professor, I'd have it. That's what you're saying. It's a swipe right on the, I think you're mixing up two different things. So once again, this is Sci-Fi Gangsters. You can check us out on wherever you get your podcasts. We have a podcast version, but also we're live streaming on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously.
And audio in sync tonight. So yeah,
that is true. Last time we recorded this a couple weeks ago. That was actually more than a week, 2 weeks. Anyways, the audio for whatever reason wasn't synced up, but we believe that we fixed it now. So we're all excited about our synced audio. But at today's topic, we are talking about the big, the Xbox, Microsoft buying Activision. We'll be talking all about that. Our opinions, what do we think about it? Do we care? Do we not care? What does this mean for the future of video games? I don't know. Do I have an opinion? But I just want to hear what everybody else has to say. That's kind of where I'm going. But first, we need to introduce the panel here, the guests, and we'll start off with our guest here today, and that is CJ, aka MD Soul. CJ, how you doing?
I am stinking awesome. It's a great day. It's a beautiful day. I am done dealing with the military for the weekend. I got about 4 to 5 days of nonsense and debauchery to do with my 3 sons. We're going to Royal Rumble on tomorrow. Super excited about that.
Nice.
That's why I feel so. As you see, I'm home. Normally, I'm back out there in El Paso, Texas, but I'm home now. I'm super duper excited to be here with you guys. And also, I also want to just say thank you, and I appreciate you guys, because the environment, the climate of the United States has been all over the place, and being a minority, and you guys have you have welcomed me with open arms, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for. I don't want to use the word open-minded. That kind of sounds weird.
Appreciate you coming, man.
Thank you guys for constantly having me here. I really enjoy you guys' company. This bromance is just flourishing.
Bromancing. I like
it. Thank you so much for the compliments. Yeah, thank you so much for the compliments. CJ, Acid, one of my main rules when I come up with a guest for the show is my one rule is I don't want to be 4 white dudes every time. Like that's literally my rule. I don't want it to be 4 white dudes.
In fact, we kicked a white dude out tonight, so there's only 2 of us now.
Definitely. Once again, obviously that's always been sort of like the focus of this program is to diversify the guests and everything. But yeah, because what's the one thing you don't want is to just have another podcast where it's 4 white dudes talking. All right, so CJ, it's great to have you here. You mentioned wrestling. That's not the avenue that we talk about on this show. However, you mentioned it, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. I reached out to you on the Twitterverse because as someone who's been watching a lot of AEW lately, I'm trying to find people to talk with about AEW, to have conversations. And I reached out to you, CJ, and a couple other people. I tagged you with a question. I tagged you with a question, and you all answered. And it seemed like you were all on the same page, except for me. And the question to you was, why should I care about Hook? Why do I care about Hook? And you all had pretty great answers to that question.
Hook has the look. He has the chops. He has the legacy behind him. He's not doing flippy flip all over. And he also has great ring psychology. You know, his dad is Taz, for crying out loud. Taz is one of the best out there. There's, you know, WWE didn't even know what to do with him. They had him on commentary, and he was spot on every single time. He's a Heyman guy. So what makes you think his son doesn't have those same, you know, that same aura as he does? I mean, and look at him. He looks like somebody that's on Cobra Kai. He has an amazing physique. The only problem is he's not like, you know, 6 foot, you know, 13. You know, I'm exaggerating here. Obviously, 6'13" isn't the height, but you know, that fits the AEW style right now. The everyman wrestler going in there and having a good time and putting on a good show, and that's what he's doing. Yes, he's coming in and wrecking shop, but I'm pretty sure he's going to meet his maker one of these times. Hopefully he gets a match with someone like Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega. I know they're going to tear the house down.
Yes, that sounds fantastic. You know, it's funny because when I posted that comment, why should I care about Hook? Kind of an outsider when it comes to watching AEW. Obviously, I've been watching a lot of it lately, watching the YouTube clips and everything, and kind of just watching it. I think I knew it was Taz's son, but I was just like, what's the big deal? Like, I didn't see anything in particular impressive, any sort of cool finishing moves. Yeah, he does the submission moves. But I guess that could be kind of cool. Benoit did that pretty well, right? There's been other wrestlers who've done the submission thing. Right. It's been a lot of fun. So
he's like a handsome Chris Benoit.
In a way, yeah, I could definitely see that. And the thing that you mentioned that is when everyone sort of kind of like went to Hook's defense when on that Twitter post that I had, which is totally fine, is that very night I watched a clip with Hook where he suplexed some guy and just walked over him. I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. I see what's going on here. But I'm actually kind of really getting to AEW. I like what they're doing. A lot of things. I do have one primary concern, and Acid, I apologize. We haven't even gotten to you yet. So we're sort of diving into AEW talk here. Wrestling talk, which is usually not what we don't talk about here on this show. But I have one concern when it comes to AEW, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the finisher has diminished significantly. It doesn't mean anything on AEW.
It doesn't mean no. They're about putting the best matches and high spots and near falls and all that. That's eventually going to get old. And they're going to have to, I want to say, get to the WWE style, because you know they did it over there at Ring. There's a lot of Ring of Honor guys. There's a lot of WWE guys and everything else in between. Eventually, they're going to have to get to a point where they have to protect their finishers, like Kenny Omega's One Winged Angel. That's very heavily protected. Dean Ambrose, his finisher is heavily protected. Eventually they're going to get there. I think they're just trying to take advantage of that indie crowd and get them to be consistent and staying with them. And then they're probably going to get back to normal. Sorry, Acid. We're almost done here. I just have one thing to say about the finisher. I've seen plenty of matches on AEW where the match goes on for a while. So we're getting to the conclusion of the match. And then the person hits the finisher when it should be done, like it should be done now. Right. The person kicks out of it, and you're like, or like they'll even. I think I saw one match where someone did a finisher and then they did a power driver. Right. Oh, and then I also saw someone do a finisher. Oh, this is an example. Oh man, totally. Cody Rhodes. Yeah. Rhodes. He does his little thing, his finisher off a ladder. Right. And the guy gets up like. Oh, right. That should not right there. That should be like, I think you're done. You're absolutely down. I'm going to climb up. I have plenty of time to climb up the ladder and get the belts. Like that should have been over. So to me, I'm like,
I don't know. I feel like we
Right.
should be
Make it make sense. And they haven't got there yet. This is only year 3. I'm pretty sure they're going to figure it out. Chris Jericho on his podcast, he even mentioned like, yo, you have to make this stuff mean something. With the tag team, there's rules with tag team. There's rules with wrestling. You have to follow the rules, and they're getting there. They're getting there. It's just, again, I think they're just going for the ratings, and they're trying to put the dagger in WWE side, even though they quote unquote aren't competing with WWE. They're competitors, and no different than McDonald's and Burger King. Like, we got the Big Mac, you got the Whopper. We're not competing. Yes, you are. They're both hamburgers, you know? So I think the same rules apply right here, and they'll eventually calm down and make it make sense.
And of course, did you see the arm injury by that one tag team, the dude on the tag team where he got
Yes.
his arm broken?
Yes.
Yeah.
Freaking gross.
Anyways, so moving on to Acid, the producer of our show. We made him wait way too long, right? This is what happens on the show. We go on tangents. He's stroking his beard and making me uncomfortable, I will say. But Acidtrain, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. It's Friday. I'm happy that it's Friday. My daughter's at a show choir competition right now. Actually, they're done. But of course, they have to sit there and wait for all the other ones to finish. And then have the award ceremony at the end. And then head back at like midnight. So I get to go pick her up at the school around midnight. So it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be driving like. I mean, luckily it's just right down the street, so it won't be too bad. Maybe I should go put a pot of coffee on. Maybe that's what I should.
Right.
Maybe. That does sound horrible. That, you know what that reminds me of? Remember when we were kids and we had our radio show on Weagle at midnight?
Oh God, yes.
And I would literally
so
go
late.
to sleep and wake up right before the show.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, I'd have to meet you out front in the cold, and you'd have to let me in. Of course, and when Matt Z showed up, we'd have to let him in too. And
Yeah.
it was
Good times back when
interesting
we were
times.
in our 20s.
Acidtrain, the stallion. Yeah. See, I kept my name, but Stallion died for some reason. I'm not sure. I don't like Stallion. Stallion was good.
Stallion is no longer with us here today. But once again, today's topic is we're talking about the Xbox acquiring Activision. We'll talk about what this means for the future of gaming, our opinions on it. Do we care? Do we what's our opinion on this? But first, let's do a quick little segment where we catch up. I know we talked a lot about AEW and everything, but first, what's new? What's going on with you? CJ, we'll start with you. What's new?
Of course, I'm home now. Already said we're going to not right. I keep on wanting to say WrestleMania. Royal Rumble leads to WrestleMania. I'm just glad to be here with my sons. We lately I've been doing a lot of Street Fighter. I have a thing called the Soul League on Twitch. Acidtrain is right there on Soul League. Where it's a very competitive league. There's a lot of trash talk and a lot of feelings hurt, but ultimately it's a good time. I'm really enjoying myself in the company that comes along with it. Street Fighter is a very frustrating game, but it is what it is. And then other than that, I don't think there's anything else that's major going on around my home besides these kids needing discipline by their dad. That's about it. But it's been a good couple of weeks. Been really good. Yeah, exactly, Acid. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds fantastic. And of course, check out that Soul League, the MD Soul. It's on your Twitch account. Is that what it's broadcast on Wednesday nights?
Wednesdays nights at 7 CST.
And the reason why I know it's on Wednesday nights is because Acid said he can't do this show on Wednesday nights because he's doing Soul League.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean you can't play Halo tonight?
Yeah, that's if I want to play some Halo, I need to fill my squad, right? We need one more person in the squad.
Yeah, it's not happening Wednesday night.
You should join Soul League. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. It's just good company.
I am horrendous. Horrendous. Now Madden, now we're talking. Now I can be a little bit competitive, but
Okay.
But yeah,
and maybe even Halo.
RRP John Madden.
There you go. Excellent. Very yeah, definitely. What's new with me? I've been watching a couple of shows that I'm really getting into. Boba Fett. Boba Fett, I really like. I'm really into the Boba Fett show. There's been some chatter of people not liking it for whatever reason, but I'm 100% on board. Like I like everything they're doing with the show. They had spoiler alert, they had a cameo episode for the Mandalorian. So Mandalorian shows up in one of them too. So and that episode was fantastic. Like that was just a fun episode. So I've been enjoying Boba Fett. I've been enjoying all the characters that they're sort of introducing. It seems like what they're doing with the show is they're building up to where he has a team, like he has a squad. Like he's building a squad, and everybody in his squad is pretty cool. Like he has a Wookiee that looks like it's going to be the Wookiee's probably going to join his squad up.
Right.
So it seems pretty cool. I'm 100%
Wait,
on board.
Is this like the episode of Rick and Morty, and he's like, "Son of a bitch, I'm in." building up a squad.
Exactly. Yeah, that's essentially what's happening, and I'm 100%. I'm 100% on board. And then quickly, and I'm not going to talk too much about this because maybe I'll talk about it on a future episode. But I can't get over how much I love Snowpiercer. The series.
You were all
I
about
cannot get
Snowpiercer.
over how great it is.
The movie was amazing, so I guess I got to catch up on the show now. Then, huh?
Most certainly. The first
how
season.
How many seasons?
So this is where the second season. The second season was recently released. So I love the first season. The second season is already kicking off. Very excited about all the episodes. I've only seen 2 episodes in the first season because I am watching it with my wife. And at Acid, the rule is when I watch a show with my wife, it usually takes us a long time to get through a show because we have to find a time where we can actually watch the show together. I thought
it was because you couldn't keep your hands off each other.
That's true, right? There's a little smooch going on in there.
You have to keep pausing.
Now, quick question: Did anybody know about any not conspiracy, but just some fan theories about Snowpiercer? Anybody know any? I've heard one that with the original movie that the conductor was Willy Wonka. Notice that the W is really big on the train, and he's doing not Willy Wonka. It's Charlie from Willy Wonka. He has the big W, and now Charlie is looking for his predecessor. And you notice how the train moves, and it has different levels, and it gets weird. And he knows how to easily make this particular like gummy like thing made out of bugs or whatever. A lot of people are saying like Willy Wonka figured out a way to get off of that little space that he had, and then he gave it to Charlie. Charlie, I need you to take over because the world's about to end. The Oompa Loompas all died, and now he's trying to figure it out. That's one of the theories that are out right now.
Well, very good. Seems like a very fun theory. Of course, if you've seen the movie is actually very different from the show. The movie's more of a thriller, like a horror thriller, and the show.
Yes.
The show's far more political. Like the show, I think in a lot of ways, it's like Game of Thrones on a train. That's what this. So it's a whole lot of fun.
Less boobies.
Can't get over how good Snowpiercer is. But we'll go ahead and move on to Acid. What's new?
What's new? Other than the main topic that we're going to talk about tonight, I've actually been watching Buffy again, making my way through Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's a good one.
Great show. Also been watching season 2 of The Witcher. Haven't finished it yet, but it's first season was great. Like I loved it. It was great. I probably should have rewatched it just because it's been so long since I've seen it. But the second season started off strong. Exactly what I expected. What else is new? My streaming has been kind of lax here lately. I would like to get more consistent with it. Hopefully soon. I just don't know what to play. It's one of those things like, and again, we'll talk about, and of course I'll go more in depth about this because most of my streaming career was Hearthstone. That's all I did was Hearthstone. Just about
what's the next? The question is, what is the next one going to be? Because we all thought it was going to be New World, and New World didn't turn out to be what we expected to.
Yeah,
it was fun initially. Then it's like,
yeah, like New World's fine. Like I've still got it, and I'll pull it up every once in a while to see what's going on. But it's just so basic.
It doesn't keep your attention long enough.
It doesn't, and it's a really cool concept, and they did a really good job with it. But I think games now, especially, look at Halo and look at New World, and there are all these bugs, right? There are all these
Yeah.
bugs. But guess what? The store is working. The store is on point. That store is not going to crash.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's for some reason.
The
I don't
store
know
works.
what it is, but dadgummit, that store is going to be working, and them transactions are going to happen if you want to make one. You know, like there's no issues there. But yeah, I feel like that, and I'll say this. I've said this a lot. Just everything comes full circle. Doesn't matter what it is: clothing, food, video games. In this point, and I think that indie video game companies are going to be the shining star here in about 5 years or so, after all the big bads can't make a game work. You know, it's just all they care about is that money. And while indie game companies, you know, they care about the money too. I mean, they need it to keep going, but they don't care about as much money as as all these big bad companies. So I'm kind of hoping that the indie companies shine. And I hope that some of these companies, some copyright stuff kind of falls away, so they can pick up old games from NES and remaster these things, like the Earthbound series, and bring
I would love that. Oh man,
I mean, just don't touch it, just make it prettier. You know, make it prettier. Right. You know, remaster Chrono Trigger. How awesome would that be? You know, I mean, it's just that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of hoping for that. But yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It definitely seems like the industry is influencing how much time they put into particular things. So, for example, if we use all those examples, if I use Madden, for example, the most of the money that Madden makes is from Ultimate Team, the buying the cards and all that kind of stuff, you know, all that. So they're really not going to care about, making the game anything different than all the previous games in the past, putting time and energy into developing the game, making something new, when they know they can make a ton of money just by releasing the same old game, because people love Ultimate Team so much. And they're going to put so much money into buying these cards to make the best game, which is funny because Ultimate Team, I'm not really that into, so I guess people really get into it, but it sort of points towards the way the industry is. You know, and Halo's the same thing. Obviously, they're trying to get as much money out of you as possible by having all those additional alternative skins and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I did buy one. I bought the Cyberpunk skin.
I bought the battle rifle skin yesterday.
Did you really?
The green one, yeah. I mean, I was like, ooh, that's Acidtrain green. I gotta have it, you know.
But you know, kind of to your point there, I think what you're when you're talking about indie and when you're talking about the big companies, the indie companies are going to win because there's going to be a little bit of nostalgia there where you're unlocking stuff. There's a lot of companies like Castle Crashers. They're an indie company. Super Meat Boy. That's another. There's two guys made that one, and they have these little unlockables, and that's kind of what we're used to. The people that are buying the games and they're us. I mean, of course our kids are buying it, but majority of those games that are being bought, they're bought by us, and we're going I remember when we were unlocking things. I have money to go buy the DLC, but whether it's Street Fighter or it's Call of Duty, I think I'd rather unlock it. I'd rather pay a premium of $80 to $90 for a complete game that has all this stuff to unlock, plus the achievements, a great story, and then great online play. And to your point, within the next 5 years or so, I'm pretty sure some guy's going to figure it out, and it's just going to be the ultimate game. I mean, I think we can take something like Apex. I think that's a great example of that. Even though there's not really a story, but you don't have to buy a thing. You can just start unlocking stuff. You can even unlock the characters, or you can just buy them. And hopefully, gaming will start going near that. Maybe not necessarily free, but I think I would prefer to unlock that. So when I'm out there playing online, oh, how'd you get that one? Oh, I didn't get that. I think I would like Injustice 2 kind of does that with their costumes. You can play it online. So
with Halo, a season 2 that's coming out in about 90 days or so. They did mention that you will now be able to earn credits by leveling up the battle pass. So you'll be able to take the credits. You can, of course, you can buy credits now, but soon you'll be able to earn the credits and then buy the stuff in the store. I don't know how many that's going to be. I mean,
Right.
there's no way. But I would like to more see like, okay, well, I bought a game. Or it's a free, like even Halo Infinite is absolutely free. Doesn't cost a dime for the multiplayer. Doesn't cost a dime. You can go in, play. All it is skins. I mean, you're not one-upping anybody. I mean, if you don't want to spend any money, you don't have to.
Right.
But if you do want some of those cosmetics, which I'm a sucker to the cosmetics,
Right.
I mean, I'm the guy that has all the Assassin's Creed Odyssey cosmetics, and it's a single-player game.
Right.
I mean, that's just who I am. But you can, of course, also unlock those. You don't have to buy them. You can unlock those if you want to.
That's what gives more replay value.
Exactly. And they've added in like a new game plus to those types of games, so you can go back and replay the entire thing again while keeping all your stuff and getting more stuff.
Absolutely. They did that for Streets of Rage. They've done that for a lot of beat 'em ups and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I relate that fighter.
Yeah.
When I rate a fighting game, it's like what's the replay value here besides just being online? Like Tekken 3, I think that's one of the first ones where I locked everything. You got the costumes, you got the different versions of the game that you can play. You got the Tekken Force mode. You had to beat it a specific way. Make it challenging for me. Make me play this game in different ways that I didn't even think about. Oh, you have to beat it within this amount of time. Oh crap, I got to do that. Well, you have to use new strategy now for that.
Right.
Same thing with Metroid did it too. You get 3 different endings based on how quickly you beat the game. So I'm right there with you, Acid. I'm definitely with you on that.
All right, well, very good. So let's go ahead and get to our topic for today. So once again, Microsoft acquires Activision, right? So obviously a huge chunk of the video game market is under Microsoft now. What does this mean for the future of video games? I'll go ahead and just kind of throw it to you guys, and we'll go ahead and start off with CJ. CJ, what do you think? What's going on here? What's your opinion on this?
All right, my opinion is one that's a little unorthodox, and I've been saying it on my channel for a while. I think Microsoft is trying to get to a point where they're doing away with the console process. Last year, they told their shareholders, "Hey, don't worry about Xbox sales. Worry about Game Pass. That's all you need to worry about." And then on top of that, they're trying to get Game Pass on PlayStation. There was talks about getting it on Nintendo. You already can play it on PC. My thought process is they're trying to just do away with the console war. The console war is going to be more of a streaming war. We already have Steam. We had Stadia. We had all these other companies come up with their own version of a streaming. Even PlayStation now. Nintendo has Nintendo Online. Eventually the consoles are going to be like a VCR or DVD player. You don't really care what type of VCR or DVD player do you have, do you? No, not really, unless you just brand specifically like, yo, I love Sony. I love, Acer or whatever the brand is. So I think it's eventually going to get to that point where it's like, what streaming service are you using? Are you using the Microsoft one? I don't think eventually it might not even be called Xbox anymore. It's just Microsoft Gaming. I mean, look at Apple. Apple has Apple Arcade. They don't have a console necessarily, and you can play it on your phone, and you can play. No, it's a start. I have it because I have Apple TV.
It's a dream that will get crushed. That's what it is.
But ultimately, it gives people options. That's what was so special about having a Blu-ray player. I can stick with Samsung, or I can have Samsung everything. I can have Bose everything, or I can just get this little cheap thing. All I want to do is watch the movie, and I think we're getting to a point now where all we want to do is play the game. Is this game good? I'm pretty sure like people tend to forget that what games Activision actually made. People forgot that Activision did Tony Hawk. People forgot Acclaim at one point was in cahoots with, Mortal Kombat. Nobody cares that Warner Brothers owns, Mortal Kombat now. We just want to play a good game. And I think that's the direction we're going to go in. We're eventually, what is it? Shutterfly? Is it Shutter? No, that's the picture thing. But
that's the picture.
Gamefly.
Gamefly.
Gamefly. They're trying to be the Netflix.
That's that's how I scrapbook is Shutterfly.
Shutterfly. Yeah, it's a good.
Yes.
My wife does the same. But eventually, everything is going to be that. We're already doing it with video. It's just a matter of time of doing it with the game. But the catch is, I think, is the internet specifically. When you make the internet a utility, that's when we're going to be able to take off. Because right now, they're like, hey, the internet's down. So what? Let water or electricity be down is like, yo, we got issues, and it turns into a pandemic. We're this close for the internet being something an issue where it's borderline pandemic. I'm like, think about it. There's a lot of games you cannot play on your Xbox unless you're connected online, or for that matter, just this pandemic alone. My wife's working from home. I'm working from home. If the internet is down, companies will lose money. It is what it is.
I don't think we're at the internet speeds yet.
No, we're not at the internet.
They're going to have to now. The speeds exist. Don't get me wrong. Like, the speeds are there,
right?
But for some reason they're holding on to it. Like, I'm not going to unlock this speed because it's our bread and butter. Like, it's, we can give them a little bit at a time,
They're trying to nickel and dime us, like they're trying to figure out how to make it a phone.
And I agree. One day it won't matter, and it'll just be ultimate speed or whatever that is. And I think that's going to happen when, and my wife laughs at me every time I say this, is when Elon Musk unleashes the Starlink. Like, after Starlink happens, everybody else is going to have to fall in line because no one else is going to compete with those speeds.
Right.
And then it will become a utility.
Is it Starlink the one that he says that you're going to be able to talk on Mars also with the satellite?
It'll be Wi-Fi everywhere, all over the world.
That's freaking nuts.
Even matter. Yeah. So
he's doing that out of the kindness of his heart, right? He's doing that
not even
for
making
society, so we can progress as a people.
Well, do you think if Wi-Fi gets to that point, I know we're a little bit off, but if Wi-Fi gets to that point, would that be death of the telephone line, or will we still use that? Because Wi-Fi, to me, it's better than having like data. You
won't need cell towers anymore.
Right. Exactly.
It'll just be orbiting the Earth.
Right.
That'll be your cell towers. It'll all be internet, wireless internet, and we won't have to worry about Wi-Fi warriors anymore.
Right.
It'll be that good. That fast.
So then ultimately the streaming networks and stuff like that, that's just going to be commonplace then. So you wouldn't have to worry about. You can take your Switch you literally can take your Switch on the go at that point and get your games just like that.
Yep.
You can play your Xbox.
You'll just need a username and password for your
right. Exactly. So
are we talking science fiction theories? Because this is going to be, as a media scholar, this is my theory of what's going to happen.
Oh yeah,
right?
go.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
So our personal devices, like our smartphone, is going to be so integrated into who we are as a human being that we're going to have our smartphones like in our wrists. Like we're going to have the technology in us to the point where you'll be able to do something like tap your wrist twice and your screen will pop up, and you can make the screen bigger. You can throw it on the wall. You could take it over here. You can take it with you. So your device, your personal device, your smartphone, whatever you want to call it, will also be your connection to the internet. But it'll also be your identity, and it'll be like your connection with your bank account and everything. It'll be you. Like
it will start. It will start with your medical information. I'm just calling it right now. That is where that will begin. It will start but it's with your medical information.
It's going to scare all the. It's going to scare all the Christian folk though.
Yeah,
that is definitely going to be the case. But it most certainly is going to be that.
I mean, as long as it ain't got 3 6s on it, I'm good, man.
Well, here it is. Tying it all back together is that's one of the concern. I don't want to call it a concern, but the way that a lot of people have been making it was a concern, because now how does metaverse play into this. Is Microsoft going to cut a deal with Facebook so they can take Metaverse, and now you are within the Call of Duty game? You are actually Tony Hawk. You are all these people, and you're surrounded in this universe. How do they work hand in hand? You know, that's my big thing.
Facebook made the leap, and everybody, of course, is now laughing at it because of the way Zuckerberg just has of who he is. I mean, he can't sell anything. Let's just be honest.
Right.
He's not selling anything to anybody.
Right. Exactly.
So they made the leap. My prediction is it will fail, but somebody, probably Microsoft, the way things are going right now, is going to go, I'm going to take that and I'm going to do this to it, and then we're going to unleash it. Like, so I think, I don't know if Facebook, I kind of hope Facebook kind of just goes down the toilet just because I have a huge hatred for Facebook. But I think that is a step in the direction that we're going, sadly. I don't necessarily agree with that step, but I do think it is a step that we're going in. But I don't think Zuckerberg is going to be the one to make that step. I think it's going to be somebody else, whether it be Microsoft or whoever, Elon. I don't know, but
I think it's going to be. All jokes aside, I think it's going to be a porn company. The internet is very pervy, and you know the internet didn't really take off until there was
that's the money.
Able to quickly download nude photos. I mean, I grew up in the 90s. Remember how slow things was, and then all of a sudden I can upload nudes. I can see certain things on the internet. Cool. And so the technology, I don't think anything virtual with you, it's not going to be a thing until you can actually feel it also.
Because now everybody's wearing the big VR headsets, you know, like what Anthony was talking about, just having it in you, and all of a sudden you can see it,
like Black Mirrors, and they just said, whoop, attach it to the side of their head.
Which is it's kind of interesting because, you know, I talked about this during my video game studies class, where, you know, throughout video game history, and maybe this has a lot to do with the fact that technology really hasn't caught up with our imagination yet, but throughout history, we as video game players have never really been interested into total immersion. Like, we've never really been into virtual reality. Like, we're far more interested in hybrid or augmented reality.
Because those things will make us sweat, Anthony. And video gamers don't want to sweat. We want to sit on our couch with our bag of Funyuns.
Even more so than that, we all work. We all have long lives. We have family. We're all overstressed. We're overworked. It's a capitalist society. We're constantly working. So we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of energy to pretend like we're in the Hunger Games. Right.
And see, that's one of my problems. Like, even though I don't hate Madden, I don't hate NBA 2K, I don't hate The Sims, but for me, I don't, or for that matter, Call of Duty. You know, I'm in the military. I don't like playing simulated games. I want games that go over the top, above and beyond my imagination, you know, and I have a very hard time going, you know what, I'm going to play NBA 2K and dunk on somebody. No, I'm going to go outside with my sons and I'm going to play ball, you know, and I think that's kind of to Acid's point there. It's like, no, I don't want to do something that I can do in real life. And of course, there's the waifu apps and stuff like that, and the Sims where you're playing real life, and it kind of is what there's a niche for that, but I don't think majority of gamers are part of the Animal Crossing niche, you know. Even though it's a fun game, I just don't think they are. You know, they got like Cooking Mama is not a huge game, but it exists, or Nintendogs. But when you say NBA Jam, everybody goes nuts. In NFL Street, people go nuts. Any type of samurai game, they go, because it's you're going past your own reality.
Yep. That's why World of Warcraft did so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's Dungeons and Dragons. You know,
it brought you into an avatar that you created into
and then
a world
you don't have
that
to think about
exist.
it. You don't need a dungeon master. You can interact with people the way you want to, and then you build your guild and go off and take on that monster or whatever the mission is.
With very few limitations.
And you might, I don't mind, people can be mad at me. the gamers, we are the laziest group of people you'll ever meet. If it takes more than 2 clicks to get to somewhere, it's just not going to happen. We won't read the instructions. We won't do none of that. And that's why I'm like, the augmented reality is the closest thing we're going to get. But virtual reality, I don't think so, because like, oh, I got to put that on my face now. And now I got to get comfortable. God.
Yeah. Which is why I'm shocked Escape from Tarkov is doing so well.
Right. That's exactly.
I have no idea why.
I don't know why
people say that. I bought the cheap edition of that, and I played it for about 5 hours. No tutorial. No what do I do? What is Tarkov?
It just throws you in there.
Why am I trying to escape Tarkov? It just throws you in and nothing. Like I was like,
right. They took that same template as Ark, but no cavemen.
I hated it. People love it.
And this is why I think mobile gaming is becoming so popular, and why I think it's going to continue to become even more popular, and not just with the traditional gamer, but with like the average person, because you can do it in your in-between moments. Right. You can do it on my way to work, or when I'm in line at the bank, or I'm at the stoplight waiting for the light to turn green. I can open up my phone, right? Or in the future, I could tap my wrist and bring up my mobile game, and I can play for a little bit. And then when the light turns green, I can put it away.
Get hit by a car.
Or for that matter, I think it would probably go even further than that. Like gaming will be part of your everyday life. They're already working on stuff to where your windshield is actually, it gives you data, right? And it tells you, hey, this car's in front of you, that car's to the left of you. It's already doing stuff. But imagine having a little fun game at the same time where it keeps you safe, but it keeps you your mind active, because everybody been hypnotized by the lines on the road on a long road trip. But imagine your car having a little mini game as you're traveling from place to place.
Imagine getting experience points for 10 miles.
Exactly. That's
well, our cars will be driving themselves by then.
Well, that's true.
Our cars will be driving themselves. All we have to do then is get inside the car, and then we can do all the stuff we want to do. We can watch the porn. We can do all the kind of stuff we want to do.
The Tesla goes right now. You can drive your Tesla. I think it's about 3 to 5 minutes without your hands, and then it will start going doop, 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 and you have to put your hands back on the steering wheel. Freaking! So you really can pretty much do George Jetson. Take your clothes off, put them on, and keep on going. It's freaking nuts.
You could load up, go to Walmart, and come back and never have to touch the steering wheel.
Yeah, it's crazy where we're at right now. But I think mobile gaming, the only reason why it's not there is because we thought we wanted a touchscreen. We don't want a touchscreen. We still want to be able to have. So that's why you have the backbone. I think Nintendo's done it right.
The screens are too small. I mean, for me anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You got meaty hands.
I mean, I got the biggest phone I could when this came out. Like, this is a huge phone, but the screen is too small.
To sort of kind of push back on that a little bit, I think mobile gaming, maybe not for if we want to say the stereotypical hardcore gamer, like us, I guess you could say, is the traditional gamer. Like, mobile gaming is huge.
No, absolutely,
Just not with, us, right? Like, it's not for us. It's for the person who doesn't want to have to learn how to control an Xbox controller, right?
Because you can play Fortnite on there.
You can.
I can pick up the phone and I can flick the screen to throw a bird at something, right?
And now they make controllers.
Yeah, they got the backbone and
attach your phone onto, and you can play with the controller. Like Razer makes one that looks really cool.
Right, that's a really good one. Or do you guys remember the Taco phone, the N-Gage? Back in the early 2000s, that was the crappiest clunk of junk I've ever had, but it was a good start. that was a good one. It had Tomb Raider, it had they had Tony Hawk, and it had a couple other games on there I thought were freaking. They weren't bad, but they were very bad. But they were good. But I'm sorry, I got you guys completely off. So
we were talking about Activision.
Talking about Microsoft
and Blizzard. I mean, it all relates in some form or fashion. But ultimately, I think Microsoft they're I don't want to say they're monopolizing, but my beef and my problem with that all is I don't want Microsoft to turn into WWE where it has no competition and they're handing out crappy games. That was the crash of the market, the gaming market back in the early 80s, late 70s with Atari. And then Nintendo came back and said, hey, there's a better way to do this. And so I'm hoping Microsoft, because let's be real, they nickeled and dimed us from the beginning. Like not as bad as Apple has nickel and dimed their customers, but they have done it. As soon as they were able to do DLC and figure out how to do that, and how they were the first ones to do Xbox Live, right? You had to pay a fee just to get online. Like, what? I gotta pay a fee for my internet that I already have? So I just hope it doesn't get that way, to that point where they're saying, all right, you got Game Pass. Now you have now in addition to Game Pass, you have the an upgrade pass, so that you can play it in 4K, just like Netflix is doing right now. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Yeah, Netflix is upgrading to 4K, but you can have the regular HD in Netflix for $15, but you can have the 4K one for $20. I hope that's not where they're going with, because you only got one option.
Yeah, and one interesting thing that you brought up, and Acid, I'll get to you here in a second and get your opinion on the Xbox or Microsoft buying Activision. But one thing you brought up which is kind of interesting, CJ, that made me think about how, like, the convergence of the console and the PC, there's actually a convergence happening, right? So 20 years ago, a console and a computer were two very different things, right? They were very different from each other and how they worked and everything. And then slowly over time, the two have sort of converged. Not obviously with consoles using the internet far more and being able to download games from the internet, but also
the money and graphics the money and the processing power. That's the word I'm looking for. They're starting to come to a peak where you weren't able to play Mortal Kombat or Tekken the same way at home as you were able to do in the arcade, and you would have to get a PC in order to get that. Now everything, that's why the arcade doesn't exist anymore, right? You can do it at home, and now your PCs are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. You can buy a $500 PC and get the same type of quality as anybody else that has an elite computer. Of course, there's some ins and outs. There's like, okay, maybe I need something a little bit more expensive, but at the end of the day, that PlayStation 5 and that Xbox X and S, or whatever letter you want to put behind it, is just as powerful as a PC. So yeah, they're definitely coming together.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely some interesting things to think about when it comes to consoles and PC. Even like 10 years ago, they're two very different things, right? The PC and the console. And nowadays it seems like, obviously with the PC, most people were using keyboards. Now people use controllers on their PC now, and just like, once again, it's sort of becoming closer and closer together. But Acid, I want to go ahead and get to you, because we didn't really get to hear your opinion yet on this whole big this buyout by Microsoft.
Well, the beard speaks for itself.
As you know, I have been a huge fan of Blizzard games almost my whole life. I mean, even back to Rock and Roll Racing for the Super Nintendo, which is one of Blizzard's first 3 games that they ever made.
That was such a good game.
And I actually own it. Blizzard has a Blizzard Arcade on their app, so it was really nice to be able to have it again. A lot of things went wrong with Blizzard over the years. First mistake was bringing Activision into the fold. I think that's where the hill started going down. That's where all the microtransactions started.
Yes.
That's when all the unlockables stopped, and like I said, microtransactions began. Because Activision, as you know, owned Call of Duty. I mean, that was their main baby right there, and they microtransactioned their players to death with Call of Duty, skins and weapons, all kinds of stuff. And I never got into Call of Duty, but and so, a few more years went by, and Mike Morhaime, I think, figured out that he made a huge mistake by bringing in he brought the wolf in, and it was too late. They couldn't get rid of him. So he stepped down and gave it to, what was his name? The WoW guy. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but anyway, he promoted, or who I guess they all voted, or however they do it. Anyway, the lead for World of Warcraft stepped up and took over, and that didn't last very long. Once they realized that things were pretty bad and getting worse, and so then they gave it to J. Allen Brack, and then they gave it to, I mean, they just kept folding and giving it to other people, and then it was like, oh, who are these two yahoos that have never played video games, and now they own the company, or now they're CEOs or whatever. And anyway, but
money talks. Did you see how much it was valued at?
Oh, it's a huge company.
It's like 60. It's like 68 point whatever billion dollars.
Yep. So they bought it for a little over $67 billion.
Oh, which, man.
To put into perspective, hang on, I was just looking at this.
Because I'll say the Army pays me well, and I can't fathom $1 billion. I'm happy with what I got. You know, I'm like
Disney acquired Marvel Studios.
That was a big deal. Yeah,
$4
right
billion.
Right, but this company's valued 68.
This was a $67 billion buy. So I
think it was around the same for Disney. Disney bought Lucasfilms, so all Star Wars.
Lucasfilms, yeah.
And honestly, I think Disney. Speaking of Disney, and Amazon, really, because Amazon has Luna. I think it's called Luna. Their new streaming platform for games, and they have Amazon Games and stuff. Yeah. They've even been having. There's rumors that there's been talks behind closed doors about buying WWE between Amazon and Disney, and that's some billions of dollars right there. I'll send that, and I will send that to you because I'm pretty sure you're like, wait, hold on, wait. But yeah, that's nuts how much these companies are worth, man. They don't talk about that often.
But so I mean, and so it just things kept going up with the scandals going on in house with Blizzard, and just things just kept falling apart.
But was it a gender inequality type thing over there at Blizzard?
The first issue was the Blitzchung issue, which was Hearthstone has tournaments and stuff, all that kind of stuff all over the world, and someone from Hong Kong won the tournament, the big tournament or whatever. And during their post-game interview,
they have that protest speech thing, right?
All he did is thanks, and it's been great. And right at the end of the interview, he said, "Free Hong Kong, liberation for our nation," or whatever he said, and that blew up like fireworks. Like it just China was having nothing to do with that, and Blizzard got into huge trouble. And anyway, that was the start of that. And then
do you think Microsoft can handle something like that if that's
Microsoft? I've never seen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but over the last several years, I've never heard of Microsoft in any kind of huge crazy lawsuit like that. No sex scandal lawsuits like Blizzard's
technically with Mixer. Besides Mixer, no.
But I mean, you don't hear about that. I think Microsoft has a solid work ethic as far as getting things done. Whether they do that, whether they get them done correctly is another
totally different story. Yeah.
But they're getting it done, and they're not taking off their employees.
Right.
Their employees aren't jumping ship. Like Blizzard's employees were just jumping ship. Ben Bro jumped ship. Mike Morhaime jumped ship. Jalen Brack jumped ship. Everybody's jumping ship because they see what's happening, and they're like, "Oh crap!
I don't want to be part of that.
We got to get out of here now." So everybody jumped ship and left it to all the C team. Even the B team left. The C team is now running everything, and it's just not good. So. Is the buyout good as a whole? Yeah, I think it was a good thing for them. It was an expensive thing, but I think that
they'll make their money back with just Game Pass alone.
They'll make it back in the next year. It's not going to be an issue. But I think this gives them...
got Tony Hawk on Game Pass. Everybody loves Tony Hawk. You got Call of Duty on Game Pass. Everybody loves it. That's going to be the sole reason why I'm going to buy it. I'm going to keep Game Pass at that. I'll pay $20 for that.
The problem with Game Pass for me, at least the way I look at it, is I like, even if it's digital, I like to own my copy of the game. I feel like I'm renting
No,
when
I
I
totally
do.
get that.
Like, what's Netflix? Like, I love watching Netflix. Like, but
Right.
videos and
You
movies
see,
and like
you see all
YouTube.
those Nintendo games
Oh,
over there
yeah.
behind me, yeah.
But that kind of stuff is like, oh yeah, I can watch The Witcher, and oh yeah, I can watch Mortal
Right,
Kombat
but it's not
movie
yours.
and whatever, and it's fine, and I don't care if I own it or not. I just wanted to watch it. But like with I have been so invested in video games my entire life that, and one of my buddies, Skiefer, one of the guys we play Halo with, he has got one of the biggest gaming collections I've ever seen anybody have, and it's all hard copies of games,
Right,
case,
right.
disc, instruction manual, all collector's editions. Like it's insane. Like I used to have that stuff, and then I got married and that went away, and and now I'm envious of all of you guys who have the big huge arcade in the background and your Marvel toys and stuff. I have a green screen. I'm lucky to have it. Okay, so
It's an ultimatum.
you have your own
Either-
rooms. You have your own rooms.
Either I'm able to get a car and soup it up, or you keep me in the house and
That's right.
I'll do these daggone video games.
So my collection is vast, but it's all digital. I have a massive digital collection.
Wow.
And I'm very proud of my collection.
I think to your point there with Microsoft, I had Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It just recently came back on the Xbox with Game Pass, and then another one that I had was Marvel versus Capcom 2. That's the one that a lot of FGC players are going nuts about, because a lot of us bought it on the 360, and there was a little bit of bad blood with Disney having the rights with Capcom and all the other nonsense, and now we can't go back and download and play Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now money's gone, money's wasted. That is a huge issue when it comes to digital games. And then going back to, hey, what if got it, Elon Musk, he has this satellite. What if his satellite gets shot down? I'm not saying it will, but now all of a sudden, I'm not saying that that's your first concern playing video games. But however, if I'm gonna starve, I'm gonna starve while playing my video games.
Not even just that. Let's say like I've had a long day at work.
Right.
And I want to unwind, and I just want to play for an hour. I just want to play for an hour before I go to bed. I get on, I log into Halo, servers are down. It's not as serious as everything we talked about before, but still, it's like before you could, if you had the game, you could put it in, you could play for a little bit, and you could be done. Nowadays,
which is why I like, even in my digital collection, there are a lot of games that are online only, like Halo and all that kind of stuff. But I can play Street Fighter offline if I want to. I can play Chrono Trigger without the internet. I've got a huge library with single player, non-internet needing games, which is great. And they're all on a hard drive. And a backup and a cloud. So if the cloud fails, I got my hard drive. If it fails, I got my backup. So I'm and if all three fail, it just wasn't meant to be. It's just,
that's a sign from God.
That's just a sign that I need to stop. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. We can just take me home now. It just needs to happen. But back on track. So Microsoft making this purchase, in my opinion, is a good thing. I think they're gonna clean house. I think, and they should, especially with Blizzard and Activision. They need to clean house, get in some new people. They might even pull in some indie game people, which might not be a bad thing, because if they start remastering stuff, which is, everything has gone to the remaster anyway. Even movies, we're going to make another Spider-Man. Oh, we're going to make another, we're going to make another this movie and reboot it. There was even talk of rebooting Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a television series. And I'm like, okay, well, we've all run out of ideas. It's fine. We've all run out of ideas. That's not a big problem. Let's remaster the things that we have loved as childhood. So if they remaster like Rock and Roll Racing, and they remaster all the Tony Hawks, and they do all this, and they do it right, and they don't screw it up. Of course, they're all going to add microtransactions to all of them, because let's just be honest, that's what they do.
Right.
But
roll your eyes really hard.
There's way too much money to be made.
Yeah,
there's way
Yeah,
too
way
much
too
money to
No
be
one's
made.
going to go back when you can make millions of dollars doing this.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, imagine them remaking like Twisted Metal. I mean, oh my
I think
goodness.
it'll come to eventually. It'll come to, and and I've said this too. I think Microsoft they're not done.
No,
They're not done. I think they're going to acquire EA next. That's going to be their next purchase.
not 2K.
EA is more of a failure than 2K.
After WWE 2020.
Madden is pretty big. There's the NCAA is coming back. There's a lot of things in the works with EA, because then you've also got EA has BioWare. I mean EA's got a bunch of little sleeper companies. I want to call them sleeper companies because BioWare is definitely not a sleeper company.
EA needs to bring back SSX Tricky.
I think EA will be next.
That'd be a good one.
2K might be in the mix. But
I think 2K is a more likely, but I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's going to get bought regardless.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you're saying. Right?
Microsoft will either try to. They probably won't, but they'll try to, because Mixer was a huge failure, and I don't know if they're going to get back into the live streaming bit
They probably
again.
won't.
And honestly, it's kind of on its way. I don't want to say out, but it's stagnant right now. Like, it's not going up. It's just there. Kind of like television, you can turn it on if you want to. I mean, I've noticed even with the big streamers, their revenue is way down than it used to be, like from 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like your Tim the Tatmans and even Ninja. I mean, these guys, they're still making millions. I mean, don't get me wrong, but they're not making as many millions as they were back in the day.
Those are before, right?
Right, and nobody's up and coming, and nobody's making strides because there's so many streamers. There's just a ton of them, and there's hundreds and millions of people out there doing what we're doing right now. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
the only people that care are the people that see you, and they can't. Nobody's ever gonna be able to find you. So it's just one of those things that you just have to cross your fingers and hope that your content makes it past your four walls. But anyway, so I think Microsoft will end up attempting either a deal, merger, some kind of partnership with Steam. I thought Amazon was going to just outright buy them, but I just don't think.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I don't think they want to get into that now. Like, Microsoft is getting way too big gaming wise to argue with it. And I mean, Microsoft could straight up buy Steam right now. I mean, it'd be less than the Activision buy.
And then Microsoft would have a handheld at that point because Steam Deck comes out this year too.
Yep, it comes out next month.
Yeah.
And
pre-order, don't tell my wife.
Okay, I won't. I'm going to get one at Christmas time. I'm going to wait for all the bugs to get worked out.
Understood.
And for them to actually make some more. Because, you after February, you're not going to be able to find one for like 6 months.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I that's just kind of I don't want to say wishful thinking, because I really hope it doesn't happen, because I love Steam. I think Steam Steam just needs to get bigger. Like, Steam needs to grow their library and stop, like, I don't know, like all these like God of War is now on Steam. Like, it's just like, yes, let's.
They need to work on their backlog. Like, they got a lot of the newer games.
They need to work on
some of the older retro style games, and so like they need to crack a deal so that they can instead of having the emulators. I don't know if you know about some of the emulators that they have on Steam. Instead of having the emulators, reach out to those companies, whether they're dead, or figure out how to get those rights so that you can get some of those older games. Work a deal with Square.
I mean, even if they're like splitting it down the middle, 50-50 or whatever, do it, because everybody's going to love it. You're still making money.
You would think you would have all the
happy.
Final Fantasies on there. We have all the Disgaias on there except for 3. I mean, I think they should go back and let you do a lot of retro gaming. I mean, put the Twisted everything. Work a deal with Sony. There's Sony games on there. They put all the Sega stuff on. They kind of half-assed that part with Sega though. Like, they have the Yakuza games. They have all 6 of them, or is it 7? I don't know. They have a lot of the Monkey Balls and stuff. Like, they have a couple Sonic games, but Sega, their archive is just so deep. Space Channel 5, Jet Set Radio, and we can keep on going for days. And just, hey, get Sega to bring more of their stuff over here. Rejuvenate that company for
because
all of it.
people would buy it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got the full Sega arcade on Steam, like the little arcadey thing that you can buy. It's got like
absolutely.
30 games on it.
Right.
Like I got that. Like it's good stuff.
Right. Now that we're older and we can afford the games that our parents
Right.
are really willing to buy for us. It's like, come on, that's the, and I think in my opinion, I think they just have the wrong target audience. They're targeting that the 18 to about 28, 29 demographic, that college student, that high school student.
Mm-hmm.
While the guys that have the money are the parents that are gamers. I tell my kids that all the time. I was like, don't take a game. I count my games every night before I go to bed.
That's
so
right.
don't take the game off the shelf.
I know what's missing.
I know exactly what's missing. And boom, here we are the ones that are buying it, because I wasn't able to do that when I was a kid. I only had 8 Super Nintendo games, and now I got 150 Switch games.
Another reason my library is digital.
Right.
Can't steal that.
You can't steal my games, son. Daughter.
But here's a question I'll pose to both of you. Now that Microsoft has acquired all this, and of course, you're not going to see any huge changes, at least for a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
You got your big. Of course, they bought Bethesda, which is also huge. And I know Anthony hasn't really divulged into any Bethesda games, like the Fallout series and Elder Scrolls and the failure that was Fallout 76.
Yeah, that wasn't that great. But I like the shirt.
Well, I bought it before the game came out, so I had high hopes and failed miserably. But with the money that Bethesda and Blizzard and all these companies now that are under the Microsoft umbrella, do you think that the next games in those franchises, such as the next Elder Scrolls, now Starfield is going forward with Microsoft, what World of Warcraft is going to look like in 2 or 3 years from now? Like, do you think it will be better? Do you think it will keep going about the way it's going now, or do you think they will just rip them completely out and say, you know what, just start something else, we're tired of this crap, do something different?
So I've always felt hesitant to be excited about mergers, even when it comes to something like the MCU, right? So like Disney buys a bunch of Marvel property, but doesn't own Spider-Man. But now there's sort of a deal with Sony to have Spider-Man, and then obviously Disney bought Fox. So you're excited that sort of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is starting to become complete with being able to bring in X-Men and everything. But then you think that when you really think about it, Disney now owns all of Fox's properties.
Right.
And
yeah.
It's really never a good thing when you have one company that has a monopoly in any particular field. So, and yes, like it seems like our economy, the industry is going in that direction of all these companies merging together. But I really feel like we should be hesitant to celebrate any type of consolidation of a market, right? Because then if there's no competition, then there's really no reason for a company like, for example, Microsoft, although Microsoft is not as big as other video game companies, but a company like Microsoft to just be like, you know what, we're just gonna dish out the same video game over and over again, not really pushing the envelope at all. Because why would we put time and energy into it when we don't have to? When people are going to buy the skins, they're going to buy the DLCs, they're going to buy the Ultimate Teams cards, right? So why even push the envelope at all? Because no one's going to compete with us. So that's my primary fear when it comes to something like this, is that without competition, without a reason to change anything, these companies aren't going to do it. And if you have more and more consolidation of a particular market, then you're going to end up getting the same stuff over and over again.
I don't disagree with that. That's why we see all these battle royale style games, whether it's PUBG, Fortnite,
Yeah.
Apex, and the list of stuff goes on because the formula works. The entity at large that loves taking advantage of gamers, they figured out the formula after 30, 40 years. They finally figured it out.
When pinball just wouldn't do it.
Right, when pinball. My take on it is they're gonna do everything Ant's talking about, but I think they're gonna add NFT. NFT is going to be the thing that keeps people hanging on for dear life, because I'm the only one that has it. I am special. I'm one of 50 that was able to acquire this particular outfit or DLC or whatever the case may be. And that NFT is mine. The question is how long the game's going to last. From what I've been seeing is like you release a new Call of Duty every year. You release a new Madden or NBA 2K every year. I'm thinking so that they can easily, get their money's worth out of the consumer. They openly admit it. I'm using they loosely there, by the way. I'm pretty sure like, who's they? I need to know who they is. Yeah. But no, they the powers that be, you think people they haven't taken notice of what happened with Tekken? Tekken released in 2016, 2015, Street Fighter released in 2016, and Mortal Kombat 2019, and they're still releasing DLC and brand new content like almost every month. Granted, they just recently stopped the end of last year with Mortal Kombat. That was a very short run, but they're still they just run. Right. Yeah, it was a great run. They just stopped with their last DLC for Street Fighter 5. That's what a 7-year run. That's unheard of for any game.
Street Fighter did it right though. They put out content in a very affordable fashion and very timely fashion. It wasn't like, all right, here's your DLC for $40, and 3 weeks later we're going to do the same thing. Like
right.
They spread it out.
Right. They spread it out. I think Tekken, they did an okay job of spreading it out. And then now, Guilty Gear is taking that same template. But here's the catch: where they get that template from? Microsoft with Killer Instincts. Killer Instincts was the first one to do a pay to play, sort of like it's free to play Killer Instincts, but if you want to play the whole game and pick up whatever character, it's only like $39 or whatever. And then we're going to release some new stuff, throughout the season and spread it out. So I think that's the direction they're probably going to go in. How far can we expand?
And where do they get that from? They got it from drug dealers who give you a free taste. They give you a free taste. They get you hooked, and then you want to buy it. That's as simple. That's where they got it from.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Ant. And so I think the answer in general, we're going to start calling it DLC. It's going to be NFT and get it while it lasts. And they're going to be like, they're going to drop. That's where, where you're talking about acid. Oh, you're dropping too much stuff. That's where that, that loot crate, they had to stop that. It was like gambling and it made children go nuts. But when you start going NFT and saying how rare it is, and you start rolling the dice for NFT, I think the video game industry is just gonna take off, especially if it's a very popular game. Imagine Fortnite with NFT, and Travis Scott is NFT, and only 100 people can have that particular NFT, or Ryu, Chun-Li, all these different DLCs that they released and said first come first serve, or here's a raffle, or hey, here's a tournament, and the top 50 within this event get this specific NFT. That's gonna cause buzz.
People are gonna have to stop caring. That's what's gonna have to happen.
I'll buy that.
People are gonna have to just be like, you know what? F it. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care about it. Like I can still play my game.
Right.
I'm not gonna get the purple green skin.
But
but
there's always hype beasts, because they said that about the tennis shoe game. I'm not necessarily a sneakerhead, but I'm within that culture. And hey, stop buying Jordans and people will stop dying. Hey, stop the hype beast and stop buying this particular shoe. And here we are still buying Jordans and Yeezys and stuff. So there's always going to be that one guy that's going to shoot the price of the shoe up to, they just released the gray, Jordan 11s, and I was gonna buy them for retail for about what $210. Don't tell my wife I was about to do that either. But then resale is $450. I'm like, what? Everybody's just stop buying the shoes. So I think the same rules apply with video games. Stop buying the NFT. Stop buying DLC. There's always
and it's not even a tangible item.
Right, exactly.
They've got
but it's gonna be that guy. I got it and you don't. And then there's gonna be a kid that goes, why can't I have it? He's gonna go to mom. Hey mom, can I get this? And she's gonna do whatever it takes to make her baby boy or baby girl happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
let's
$2,000 later.
Yeah,
let's hope that so obviously non-fungible tokens has been obviously something that people have been talking about for, let's say, 5 years now, right? It's going to be the big new thing. And it's still really, to this day, I think we're still talking about it, but like I can't think of an example of a non-fungible token where it was impactful. Like I felt like, oh, this is something big that's changing the landscape. Like I can't think of an example. Maybe you can. But I'm just hoping that non-fungible tokens just don't ever become a thing.
They just haven't implemented anything. It just stands by itself. Whereas basketball cards, they relate specifically to a certain time and a certain period where it meant something, but those things don't mean anything anymore. If you really think about it, it's no different than any tangible, actually, art. Art is only valued by the humans that value it, right? The Mona Lisa is only as valuable as the oil painted, the canvas that it comes on. However, we're the ones that make it valuable. But the reason why it's valuable, the reason why the Mona Lisa is valuable, because it was stolen, right? And it became a big deal. It was all over the papers. And like, oh my God, it was missing for like a week or something stupid like that. And they're like, what? Then all of a sudden the Mona Lisa, it gets a whole lot of hype. Boom. Now it's important, and now it's in a museum. So what's the thing that's going to relate to NFT that's going to make NFT, to your point, say, hey, that matters? What is it going to connect to?
How are you going to steal an NFT, right?
Right.
Let's hope that NFTs don't become a thing. Although I've been saying that about cyber currency. Like I've been saying, let's don't make this a thing. And
it's a thing, my friend.
It is a thing.
Yes. Very
is
much
it a good thing? I would argue it's not. I would argue cryptocurrency is not a good thing. But we don't have time to get into that argument at all, because people love the cryptocurrency, man. They love it. But
I got some myself.
Very good. Oh, you got a little bit of yourself?
I've actually been donated Bitcoin before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's actually so harmful to society. But anyways, moving on. So that's our show today. We talked a little bit about the Xbox, or Microsoft, I should say, buying Activision Blizzard for $70 billion to change the film industry, to change the video game industry. But yeah, we kind of had our opinions on that.
Microsoft now owns Leroy Jenkins. I mean, let's just
Leroy Jenkins.
Put that in your minds real quick. Yeah,
that's very true.
That was great.
All right, CJ, did you want to say anything before we head out here today?
Well, again, thank you guys for having me on here. I really appreciate you guys building up this bromance that we have here. I'm enjoying you guys' handsome faces and beautiful beards, etc. I'll make sure I send out tweets to you guys on what we're doing leading up to the Royal Rumble. I'm super duper excited about that. But again, thank you for having me on, because my wife won't talk about this stuff with me. So
fantastic, excellent.
Neither will ours.
That's true. That's very true. All right, that's our show for today. Once again, you can check us out wherever you get your podcasts, but also we're streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. You can watch those old episodes on both of those platforms, so definitely check that out. We also have a website, SciFiGangsters.com. Check out CJ at MD Soul on Twitch and YouTube, all his social media platforms. Acidtrain, you can check him out also on Twitch as well, and on YouTube. And of course, they're doing their Soul League every Wednesday nights. And I know this because Acid cannot play Halo on Wednesday nights. So definitely check that out.
I have to lose at Street Fighter on Wednesday night.
That's our episode for today. I'm Anthony Nadar, CJ, aka MD Soul, and Acid Train. Goodbye, everybody.